You are the customer, you dictate what we do. So here we go. Model rocket reaches a maximum height of 150 feet, 5 seconds after launch. So goes up, reaches a maximum right there at 5 seconds, height of 150. So this is not to scale, but this is the picture that they're looking for. If you
Okay.
fired a firework, it goes straight up, boom, explodes, comes down. Rocket ships fly up in the air, and then they also do the same thing.
Okay, got it.
All right, so then it says calculate the A value. So this information they're giving you is the vertex. They're saying the vertex is at 5, 150.
Yeah.
And the important thing here is that you have this vertex form A, x minus h squared plus k. This is h and this is k.
Got it.
So to do part B, we are going to use the vertex. So the vertex is x minus 5 squared plus 150. And it says here to determine the A value if the rocket was launched at 1 Gs.
Okay.
So I'm struggling here a little bit because they're not giving enough value to do that. 1 G is 32 feet per second squared. I know that from physics. I don't know how you're supposed to know that from this
Yeah, I
piece
don't
of
know what
paper.
G's.
Um, well, let me just do a quick search because the internet, it probably came from the internet, so, from some problem out there. So let me see if I can find where it came from to give us some insight.
Got it.
Reaches a maximum height. Okay, the way that they do this here is something I guess you wouldn't know to do because you don't have calculus yet. It's a few years away
Yeah.
from you. So but they tell you that I'm just going to write this equation. Not to think too hard about where it comes from here. How do I want to do this? 2ax minus 2ah is the equation for velocity. And at the top, when this rocket reaches its top, its apex here, the velocity is exactly 0. Believe it or not, like it's kind of almost floating for a moment right at the top. It just stops. Like sometimes you throw a ball up and you kind of see it like stop. It's
Yeah.
kind of what's happening here. And so at that top position, the velocity is equal to 0.
Okay. Got
Okay.
it.
And so if you set this equation equal to 0, and you know that x is 5 when this happens, and h is at 150. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, let me back that off. We set this equal, let me just do it this way. We'll set this equal to 0. So it's 2ax equals 2ah. If you
Okay.
divide both sides by 2a, you end up getting x equals h, which is 5. That's not what you want, though. You want this other value. Okay, so we use this to find the k. So then you go back to the original equation which is. I'm trying to avoid the explanation of physics here.
This is really weird.
It is.
Yeah, we don't we don't have to do this. I
Are you
don't.
sure? Are you sure? Because
Yeah, I don't think we were doing this the other two
basically,
days, but
basically A ends up being -6, and then we can answer the rest of the questions from there.
did you have Mateo as already
I have, he's been doing just that packet that was kind of pulling problems from for you.
accurate? Yeah, yeah.
There's some
We could
questions
do
on there.
that too, because that's our final review stuff.
Okay, great. Let me go do that.
Yeah. I was just confused because I wanted to know what we were doing because of the last I was in here the last 2 days, but this doesn't sound like anything we're gonna actually be doing.
Probably not.
Yeah, this is really random.
Sometimes they pick things that they want as sort of filler
Yeah,
for you
yeah. We
guys.
could do the
Okay.
packet. That would be good.
All right. I'm trying to get to it. I remember there being some sort of a word problem on here
Yeah, we
that
could do
we can.
like solving the square or anything like that, honestly. Yeah, a lot of the packet stuff's the word problems.
Okay, here we go. Yes. So here we go. I found this. This is maybe in context.
What page is the one we're gonna do?
I see page 9.
Page 9. Oh, that's weird. I have a different thing.
Can you send over what you've got?
Yeah, maybe I think we got 2 packets then because yeah, let me send over. I'm sorry, this is so here, let me send you this. All right, I just sent you a picture of a thing we could do.
Okay. There it is. All right. So since you've got this up in front of you, okay. Yes, this is good. This is something that we can work on here. All right. David is a quarterback on a football team. The number of yards that he can throw a football is a function of the number of weeks N he has been practicing, where f of n equals 5n plus 20. Find and interpret the slope in this context. All right. So the slope is the number in front of the variable.
Okay.
What number is in front of the variable in this problem here?
5.
5. So the slope is 5. Now we need units. So the units are the y units over the x units. So it's basically like, what is f of n? F of n is the number of yards,
Yes.
and n, what's the unit of n?
Would it just be 5?
It's not the units. What are the units of n?
Weeks.
Weeks.
Oh, I
So
thought when
units
you're
are
asking
like, sorry.
units. I thought when you're asking units, it'd be like numbers or something like that.
So the slope is a number. The units refer to the measurement that it's taken. All right.
Okay.
So this means that you get 5 yard per week better, which seems unreasonable, but you know, who knows? Maybe that is okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's the interpret the sloping context. Kind of. We need to write a sentence that says every week, David increases his throwing distance 5 yards. Like they're looking for a sentence.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So the next thing here is to figure out more kind of interpretation, but this time it's given f of n equals 60. Find the value of n. Let me write the function. The given function is f of n equals 5n plus 20. This 60 is taking the place of f of n. It's replacing all of this.
Okay.
So it's saying 60 equals f of n plus 20. F of n is in yards. So it's asking like, when will he be able to throw 60 yards?
Okay.
Okay, so how do you solve this equation down here in the bottom?
Would you start off with dividing or multiplying anything?
Well, you've got addition and multiplication. Which do you want to do first?
Addition, right?
Addition. So you subtract 20 from both sides.
And that would be 40 equals 5n. And then would that, and then would you divide 5? Yeah.
So what does n become?
N becomes just 8 equals n, or
Yes.
okay. N
Good.
equals 8.
Okay, now interpret it. So what does n refer to? What's the units of n in this problem?
It would be the number of yards he can throw,
The
or
weeks.
number of weeks.
Yes.
The number of weeks
So after 8 weeks,
after 8
that's the
weeks.
he will
Yeah.
be able to throw.
Should I write that down on the problem?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the interpret always means. Like it should just say write a sentence, but it's like you want to say
In
after 8
context,
weeks.
yeah.
Yeah, after 8 weeks, David
After
will
8
throw
weeks.
60 yards.
Okay. Got it. And then D, using function notation. It's like the same thing, or no, we didn't do the same
So
thing.
the y-intercept is
You gotta
different.
do
We talked
C
about,
now, right?
say that again.
We gotta do C now.
Yes. So we did this kind of the other day. The y-intercept is when x is 0. Okay,
Yeah.
so in your problem, that's really when n is equal to 0.
Okay.
So f of n equals 5n plus 20, and you're putting 0 in for n. Wherever you see an n, you put 0 in.
Okay. Got it.
So what does that become?
4.
5 times 0 plus 20.
Oh. Um. Oh my gosh. 5 times 0 is 0, right?
Yes,
20. Sorry.
the 20. Okay, so now in context, again, we got to interpret. N is 0. How many weeks is that?
0 weeks.
0 weeks. And f of n is yards. So give me a sentence or
After 0 weeks, David threw 20 yards, or
and throw for 20 yards. Yes.
will throw 20 yards.
Yes. That's what you're looking for here. That's the interpret again.
Okay. Let me write that too. After 0 weeks. Well, how does that make sense if after 0 weeks you threw 20 yards?
It's a baseline. It's like when you go to the workout for the first time and it's like, how much can you lift? And they say, all right, I
Yeah.
can lift, 50 pounds right now.
I feel like something like that would like trip me up though, because it doesn't really like sometimes
It's
it
a
would.
bad question. What it should ask you is this even meaningful? And it's not, because
Yeah.
it's not like he was born throwing it 20 weeks. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, but they, you got what you got here. The next one's even worse. So even worse. So, but let's part B here. The x-intercept. The x-intercept is when y equals 0. In this problem, f of n is the y. F of n equals 5n plus 20. So they're saying replace, take 0 and put it in for f of n for the whole thing. Like it's 0 equals 5n plus 20.
Yeah.
Okay, so could you solve this for us, please? It's a lot like letter B.
Would you start out with subtracting 5 or just dividing 5?
What did we do in B to solve it?
We started out subtracting.
Yes, you subtract 20 from both sides. You should do the same in this problem. Subtract 20 from both sides here.
Oh, I didn't see that 0. It would be negative 20 equals 5n, and then
Good.
would you just start off with dividing 5n?
Yes,
Since
you divide by
5,
5. Yeah.
5, 5, 5. And then you would get n equals 4, negative 4,
Negative 4.
negative
So
4,
that's
yeah.
in weeks.
Yeah, negative 4 in weeks.
Yeah, so negative 4 weeks. Does that even make sense?
No.
Okay, so that you might say that. I mean, it would be like 4 weeks ago.
Well,
David
it makes a little bit of sense, but yeah,
could
like
throw 0
yeah,
yards. I mean,
yeah,
maybe it's kind of depends on how you want to interpret it.
yeah,
The reality is that not everything is linear, because this model suggests that if he were to throw for like a year, he would be throwing hundreds and hundreds of yards in one throw,
yeah,
which is ridiculous.
yeah,
So, like, this is reality. Reality is, if we take a graph of time, if David is sitting on the couch, he has the same arm strength. And if he works really hard, he might see an improvement. And then the question is, will he sustain it? Because he could go back and sit on the couch again, right?
yes,
So it just depends, but it doesn't go up forever. So we're actually just looking at the model in this window of time when you're working on it. Same thing when you lift weights, right? If you don't lift weights regularly, you get flaccid or not, a different word. You get you lose your muscle strength. So
yeah.
you either keep doing it, but you guys, you can't lift forever. Like eventually you sort of peak and it's
You
where you
plateau.
are. Yeah, they talk about
I
that in
have
the
one
gym.
more question too. On
Go ahead.
okay, so I know these are kind of basic questions, but they kind of trip me up. But like on A, it says find and interpret the slope in context. How would I know how to solve the slope? Like what
Slope
number?
slope is the number in front of the variable.
Number in front of, so it would be 5 is the slope.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, just little things like this trip me up for some reason.
Recommend making note cards, Quizlets, something to kind of jog the memory.
Uh,
But we are
yeah,
unfortunately out of time for today. So
yeah.